I feel like these books are the absolute epitome of TikTok romances. They are so incredibly tropey, and they are so incredibly formulated for TikTok specifically. I reread all of these. I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings about these books. I kind of like them and they kind of infuriate me. So let's just talk about them all and discuss why. I wish I had a better way of explaining what my thought process is here. When this book came out, it was all over TikTok, I feel like. Reading the title, you're like, this is the dumbest shit that I've ever heard in my life. It sounds really stupid. I try not to judge a book by its cover or its stupid name. There are a lot of really good books that I read that have the dumbest names ever, and I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about here? So I was like, let me just read it. Maybe it's actually really good. Because again, it got a lot of hype, a lot of press from a lot of people on the internet saying that this book was really, really, really good. And I was like, okay, let me read it. Now we're 5 books deep. So it can't have been that bad, right? There are probably going to be a good amount of spoilers in here. Sorry. So this first book, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, is about Jeannie and Logan. And so Jeannie has just moved to this town and she's acquired this teeny tiny cafe. Which, one thing I want to note, when you open the book for the very, very, very first time, you see this town map, and it's the smallest thing I've ever seen in my life, which I get that you can't add too many details onto a town map, but when they mention that they have to drive places and things like that, I'm like, no, you don't, because this and this are 2 buildings away. You don't have to drive down into town. But you open up the book and you're expecting, first of all, small town, second, fall, and then third, Gilmore Girls. That's kind of what we're going for, right? And does it have all of those elements? Yes, but to a certain extent, it feels very, 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 like they have a town meeting, and that's blueprint, point blank, Gilmore Girls, town meeting. It feels like it feels like a story I've already read, sort of. It feels like Gilmore Girls. Does that make sense? It doesn't get very original. The story, it starts to grow on its own by the end, but in the very beginning, it feels point for point, bit for bit, Gilmore Girls. It's not loosely inspired by it. I think that's my problem, is I wish it was just kind of loosely inspired by it. The analogy that I like to use is that the Romantices version of a small, frail girl who can't hold her own, that's this book's version of small towns. They mention it so much to the point where it gets really annoying, and you're like, I don't need to hear about how small this town is anymore. I think I get the point. There's only 10 people here. One thing that I do appreciate about this book, though, is that it isn't overly freaked out. You only get 1 or 2 scenes, or maybe 3. They feel very appreciative and natural for how this relationship blossoms. So I'm very grateful for that. Okay, the whole thing is that there's a mystery going on. That's the whole reason these 2 get close. There is a mystery of somebody outside of her door or doing things to her cafe, right? 50 pages in, you find out that it's a cat making noises outside of her door. She takes the cat in. The cat is now her cat, right? Cute for the mystery part, but then they bring it back halfway through, and they're like, wait, somebody's actually messing with me, and we need to figure out who this is. Solving the mystery 50 pages in, and then bringing it back when you need an interesting plot device, that's kind of what it feels like. And so it gets on my nerves. I need to slow down. Girl, you're talking way too fucking fast. This mystery is used kind of as a plot device where it disappears whenever the story's actually blossoming with these 2 characters, and then it reappears whenever they need something else to put back into the story. And then when you finally get to the reveal of why all these things are happening to her cafe, it's the most underwhelming reveal ever. I don't know. I think maybe it's the way that this girl had no suspicions on who it was, or didn't do any digging herself for who it was. It just kind of was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm the person that's been fucking with this cafe. The 3 last pages, they were like, oh yeah, by the way, whoops, all good. I don't know. Something about it didn't sit right with me. The mystery did not feel very well done. The reveal was very disappointing. And again, the fact that 50 pages in, they figure out what it is, and it's a cat. And then it's gone for 100 pages. And then it's back. It pissed me off. In the way of oh, we solved our mystery. Oh no, wait, we didn't. And then it just, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. I didn't like it. The characters were very, very, very two-dimensional in this story. Jeannie and Logan had a little bit more personality and a little bit more to discover about him, a little bit more reasoning for his actions. Jeannie just kind of annoyed me, honestly. I just didn't think she had any sort of personality. Logan had a little bit more, but still not much going for him. It kind of just sounded like everybody else in the town was telling you how to feel about him and not how he felt, and then you just kind of got annoyed by the end. Maybe that's because it's written in third person that you don't really get to see, you have to gain all of your context for these characters from the outside in. It seems like she wanted to write it in first person, she just didn't know how. Also, the way the quotation marks are written, the way that these quotes are written, it's like a singular quotation mark instead of two. And that got really on my nerves because then I would miss a quotation mark and not realize that a character's speaking. Just overall, this book felt very surface level. The Logan story was good, but I feel like that's more or less Logan's self-discovery and less of this like budding romance. It's just rough around the edges. I give it like a 2.5 stars, like 50% flop. Pretty bad, but it gave me the... I knew I couldn't hold that with one hand. I don't know why I tried. In the end, this cutesy fall small town romance that you wanted, like, did you get that? Yes. It's just, it lacks any sort of like really good aspect. At the end of the day, if you want a small town sort of cutesy fall read, it succeeds. Book number 2 is called The Salmon Bun Bookstore. And when you look at this cover, tell me you look at this cover and you don't see fall. There are fall leaves hanging. There is a cat. It looks very fall. There are little fall leaves. So you would think, very fall. No. No, not even a little bit. This book is all summer. I got none of that from the cover. I'm sorry, it pisses me off so much that it doesn't look very summer. And when I read the first book, I totally thought that these books were going to follow the seasons. So I thought that we would get book 2 in line with like winter. It does kind of annoy me that these are out of order. It's a fall cover. It's a fall cover. So that pisses me off because I'm getting into, like, I thought what I was getting into was very different than what I actually got. But whatever. This one follows Hazel, who works at a bookstore. Somebody comes in and defiles her books by highlighting certain pages and like bookmarking them for her to find and leaving them out as clues for what she should do over the summer. Kind of like a scavenger hunt sort of thing, right? Where she has to follow these clues and go through and have a great summer. And Noah is there when she finds the first clue, and he's like, oh my gosh, let's do this together. Gosh, I just don't think this writer's good at writing mystery. They're following these clues, and they don't seem to be leading up to a big thing at the end until it is. You know what I mean? It doesn't have much build-up, if that makes sense. But on this one, we're much better at following the storyline. It doesn't come up infrequently like the other one did. It follows a very linear path to the end of the book, and it factors into the romance a lot better than the last one did. I will say I didn't really care for Noah and Hazel very much. They both, again, lacked a bit of depth for me. Noah, they try and give him some character towards the end. It's so rough. It's so rough. I don't know what to say. And Hazel, besides the fact that her dad's the mayor, like, I really don't know much about her history, and I think it tries to do that, but again, because we're reading this from third person, we really don't get these, like, backstory scenes or any sort of, like, inner monologue that I feel like really could have benefited these stories because they feel so two-dimensional and sometimes feel very forced. And also, I know that the intention is to switch perspectives but going from third person to third person and switching perspectives between Hazel and Noah and between Jeannie and Logan, it's hard to kind of make that switch because it's not fully defined which character we're talking about when. When they're together, you don't know whose perspective you're really looking at this from, even though it's trying to do this perspective thing. It's kind of a hot mess, if that makes sense. But now I'm attached to the characters, and I'm reading it because I'm attached to the characters. I finished this book, and another 2.5. I do think it did a better job with the mystery, and I do think it also did a better job with some of the spice. Like, at the end of this book, we get set up perfectly for Mac and Annie. So you're like, oh, this is what the next book is going to be about because we're talking all about Mac and Annie. This is what we're going to do next. No. No. So that also frustrated me. I don't have much to say about this book, except that at the end they elope like 9 months in. You've known this hope for one summer where you're not together, and then like 6 more months when you are together, and then you elope. Hey, that's crazy. Maybe I'm a little too pessimistic, but yo, make sure you got that prenup. Anyways, that's the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. Now, third book, you would think Mac and Annie, because we just talked about Mac and Annie. No. Third book is Kira and Bennett. These two characters don't show up literally at all. I mean, Bennett shows up a little bit in the first book, but like they really don't show up at all. They're not relevant characters in the first or second books. This story, it was so good, like so much better. I gave it 4 stars, but she really pulled it together on this one. So I really liked this one. I don't know who said that she needed to keep up with this whole mystery thing for all the books. I think they could have dropped that after book 1, and I honestly don't even think it needed to be in book 1 if it wasn't good. Now, so the mystery thing comes up 3 or 4 times throughout the whole book. It's not a very good mystery, and they figure it out in the epilogue, so it doesn't even come to like an ending in the actual book. So I just feel like that was an aspect that didn't need to be in it at all. We could have just not done this. Telling you, probably would have saved lives. But I do understand it's kind of a way to get the 2 characters together in the first place, but I think we could have thought of something way better and way more natural to go with than this dumb mystery that, again, we only bring up like 2 more times. But the rest of the book, if you forget that little 3 to 4 scenes, if you forget those, the rest of the book is really good. It's actually really, really good. Both characters have a lot of background, a lot of depth, a good storyline. Like, you get the chemistry, you get the energy, and then the spice is really, like, it's honestly really good. They both have kind of a driving force and a reason why they can't be together, and then they both want to come back to each other, and she fully figured it out in this one. I haven't actually said anything about the book, so let me talk about the book. Sorry. This book is about Kira and Bennett, and Kira she's like a rich girl who got a trust fund. She donated most of it to charity, and then she spent the rest of it buying a house in Dream Harbor, or a farm, a Christmas tree farm in Dream Harbor. Honestly, doesn't make a lot of sense to me, like, legality-wise and, like, business-wise, but you know what? I'm not gonna ask too many questions about that because it's not my specialty. I don't know. But what I do know is that she reopens this Christmas tree farm, and she and Bennett start seeing each other, and Bennett is Jeannie's brother, and he's from California, and then Jeannie's like, you have to come visit me. So he comes out and visits her, and he's only staying for like a month or 2, but he's just coming to visit her, and then he meets Kira and basically spends all of his time with Kira anyway. And then Jeannie's like, okay, but you seem to not want to go back to California. I don't think you actually like California, which, first of all, rude. But second, she's right. You don't want to go back to California. You didn't like California. You never left your house in California. Stay here. And then Kira's like, you have to go back to California because I can't be the reason that you stay. You should go back to your life and live your life because I shouldn't be the reason why you stay away from your real life. You shouldn't drop everything for me. That's stupid. And she's right. That is stupid. But for love, I'll give it a pass. But that is stupid. Don't throw your life away for a man or a woman. It also has a really, really, really cute animal aspect because Bennett has 3 dogs. Kira loves dogs, and you know who else loves dogs? Me. So the dog tactic would, in fact, work on me every single time. Super cute, super good book. Honestly, if I had just read this book and none of the other books or had no other context for the other books, truly, honestly, I think I would have still given it 4 stars, which is amazing because an interconnected standalone should still be a standalone. So I really, really, really liked this book. If you're going to read any of these books, read this one. Don't read any of the others. The 4th book is The Strawberry Patch Pancake House, and this book gave very, very, very White Picket Fence, nuclear family vibes. And also, it says a spicy small town romance on the back. The spice level was maybe at a 2, 1.5, really. It has a couple scenes, more than the other books, sure. The reason that they get together is not because they're fucking. That really annoyed me. I was like, don't market it as a spicy book when it's not a spicy book, because it's not. This book, again, is like the last book where you don't really know either of these characters. Iris only shows up in the 3rd book. So Iris shows up for the first time in this book for a couple scenes, and then is the main character in this book. Annie and Mac were very relevant characters in the 1st and 2nd books, and they don't get their own book until book 5. Like, that really annoys me because I'm like, kind of feels like these 3rd and 4th book characters were very much an afterthought that you had to squeeze into the last 50 pages of the 2nd and 3rd books to then make more books about them, even though I feel like these books aren't necessary at all. Anyways, let's just talk about this book and then I'll talk about that at the end. Archer Bayer, that's his last name, is a world-renowned chef, and then one day he gets a call from a lawyer saying, hey, you have a daughter in this really small town. And so he moves home from Paris to take care of this daughter whose mom just died. And apparently he's written as the father on the birth certificate, but he had no idea he had a daughter. It feels like a legality thing. I feel like you should be informed if your name is put on a birth certificate, because then you could put literally any name on a birth certificate ever, right? So that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. He has this kid. She's 5 years old now. And so he has to move home to take care of this kid. So he moves home and he rents like a little townhouse for him and his kid. And then he has to go work somewhere because he's now broke and he has no job because he left his job to come see this daughter, right? So he gets a job at the local pancake house. So while he's at work, he needs somebody to take care of Olive and pick her up and drop her off to school. So he hires a live-in nanny who's Iris, because Iris can't pay her rent, so she's going to be a live-in nanny. Makes sense? Hopefully. It's cute and all. In the very beginning of the book, it's supposed to be like set out like they don't like each other, like they have a few bad interactions, but then very, very quickly they get over that. In this one, the mystery is that he's running this pancake house now, and all of the customers want the old pancake recipe back. Where's the old pancake recipe? And he's like, I don't have it. He's a world-renowned chef, apparently. I made you these really, really, really good upscale pancakes, and you want the old pancake recipe back? It's actually really funny. It's a whole thing of him trying to figure out what the old pancake recipe was. And that honestly is really, really, really cute because it doesn't take itself too seriously. And it meshes really well with the rest of the romance. Like it folds into the story really nicely, if that makes sense. And it's honestly a really nice reveal. He has a daughter named Olive, right? Honestly, the relationship that Olive starts to grow with both Iris and Archer made my heart really happy, but I just don't love kid characters that much. You know, like single parent stories, I think it's very hard to make a believable kid. And she was good, but I didn't care for her that much. It didn't pull on my heartstrings. If you like a single parent romance like that, this probably would be honestly your jam. I will say, spoiler for the end of the book, if you want to read the book, maybe don't listen to the next 5 seconds of what I say, but it ends in pregnancy, and she's pregnant by the end of the book, and I hated that. Hated that. Like, you already have the one kid, and there's a whole conversation on literally page 99 where he asks her if she wants kids, and her first reaction is, God, no, she blurted out. Literally the words. And it ends in pregnancy, and now we're supposed to believe that she suddenly wants kids again. Mind you, she asked him the same thing, and he also says no. It just felt so like, again, white picket fence, nuclear family. Now that you've had one kid and you found the love of your life, now you want kids. And I'm like, that just feels so... I feel like the reason that you want kids or don't want kids should be independent of the love that you have in your life. Can't just be like, well, now I'm rethinking my thoughts on having a kid. It's always pregnancy. I don't know what it is, but I can name like 3 other books where it ends in another pregnancy. I don't know, something about that pisses me off. And when I have the words to articulate it, I will articulate it much better. Anyways, I give it 3 stars. Honestly, I'm thinking 3.5. I think it's somebody's cup of tea, it's just not mine. That's the Strawberry Patch Pancake House. Pretty good in terms of like a literal book. Probably just not for me, though. Also, just so we are keeping up, score, fall, summer, winter, spring, which is out of order, in case you didn't realize. And then we've got Christmas again. I don't know. It's grinding my gears a little bit that A, we didn't go in order of the seasons, and B, we're back to fucking Christmas. Why didn't we stop at 4 books? Anyway, whatever. This 5th book is finally about Mac and Annie. And I was kind of thinking, Mac and Annie, oh my gosh, this is the last book, this is the conclusion, this is where we wrap everything up, because we finally have those 2 characters we've been waiting for this whole time. There is, in fact, a 6th book that's not out yet. Isn't that wild? And this is a second chance romance. Mac and Annie had a thing back in high school, or like right after high school, and then he's like, I want to go see the world, moves away. And she's like, I'll be here waiting for you. And then she's waiting for him forever, and then gets tired of waiting for him. And then when he finally does move home, like 8 years later, she's pissed at him because he didn't come back for her. And so she got really upset about that, which is valid. But the book opens, and she starts an argument with Mac at a wedding rehearsal, and then starts crying about it because she's making the bride upset, which just kind of pissed me off because you started this argument and now you're crying about it. Okay. At some points throughout the book, she holds on to this grudge a little bit too much. I wish it was written in first person so I could see that inner dialogue with herself about how she's fighting to resist this guy and to give him a second chance. I think this book really, really, really would have benefited from being in first person, because then you would have been able to switch back to like a, but I remember when he did this. I think we're missing out on kind of really getting that true feeling, that hurt that she feels, and betrayal when she sees him. The anticipation for this book was so high because, again, I read 4 other books where they are both mentioned a good few times, right? The first and second book very heavily, and then when I got it, it was like a decent book, but without the anticipation of the other 4 books, I feel like it would fall completely short. Like, completely. It just really doesn't hit as hard without the anticipation. Because now that I finally have what I want, I'm happy with it, but I'm not, like, this is everything I ever wanted and more, if that makes any sense. The mystery plot in this one is to find a missing grandma. And it was really bad. Because A, it's the only thing going on in the whole book. And without that aspect, like if you took that away, there would literally be no story at all. And in my head, I spent the whole book being like, okay, if this grandma wanted to be found, she'd pick up the fucking phone. And that's what she does by the end of it. And is like, hey, can you pick us up? She can call you if she wants to be found. But this grandma is not senile, not crazy, just a normal lady. She'll be at the wedding. This isn't even your grandma. There's no point. There's no point in why we're running around looking for this lady. I was like, if she needed you, she would just call. Girl, the way that this, I got so annoyed by that. But sure, let's go with this storyline that this grandma is missing and they're looking for her, right? The reveal, super disappointing. This grandma is getting some kind of nightgown for Jeannie. It was weird. I didn't like it. It was supposed to be funny, I think, but it was just weird. If this book were to stand on its own, I don't think it could. I think you really need the context of the other two books, which kind of defeats the purpose of an interconnected standalone, don't you think? It felt way less Christmassy than it looks, because it looks pretty Christmassy. You would think that it's very Christmassy, and it's really not. It's really just about this wedding. I just feel like the season thing, I'm getting over it by now. And the idea is that Mac is still in love with her and trying to chase her and get her back the whole time. But the way that she holds on to this grudge for so long, I feel like if she was less holding a grudge, more or less like I'll talk to you, I'll be civil with you, but I won't let you in again. I feel like the I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you thing got really old really fast. Then you're just kind of sitting there like, oh, well, she's acting kind of childish, don't you think? Spoiler alert. Don't watch this part if you don't want a spoiler, but honestly, are you really going to read this book? She's waiting for him at a diner a year after he leaves for his adventures. She's waiting at a diner and she's like, please show up. And he doesn't show up. And then he says, well, I did show up, I just didn't go inside because I wasn't the man that, like, I wanted you to see. And then I was just like, right, but you're the same guy from a year ago. And even though you went on this adventure and you didn't really find out the true meaning of life, that doesn't make you a bad guy. That doesn't mean that you've done something super awful. Like, you can work on yourself while you're with someone. You can't be a train wreck while you're with someone, but he's not a train wreck. He just doesn't know what he wants to do. And so then I just got pissed off because I was like, that's kind of a stupid reason for not showing up for someone, but whatever. And then you spend another, 6 years trying to figure it out. Girl, pack it up. Pack it up. That's completed all of the books in the series. I've tried so. That's all the books in the series. Hang on. Trust, I will get this. That's all the books in the series so far. But like I mentioned before, there's in fact a 6th book. And I think this 6th book is going to be spring, maybe summer. It's about Daisy and Elliot, from what I've read online. It's called the Daisy Chain Flower Shop. And the main character's name is Daisy. Hey, I really don't like that she put her first name in the name. Also, these names are starting to get on my nerves. They're really hard to say. And they're kind of redundant. I feel like we're starting to go in circles, really. I'm tired, y'all. It feels like I'm saying the same thing every single time. The 3rd book, really, really good. And then I feel like we're back to this flatlining thing. I don't know. When I went into this series, I genuinely thought I would get a fall, a winter, a spring, and then a summer, and that would be the whole story. And the fact that it's not is kind of irritating me. And now I feel like we're kind of using and abusing this tropey seasonal thing. This small town thing, this white picket fence thing. Like, I don't know. There can't be that many single 20-year-olds in Dream Harbor. It feels like we're on a college campus now. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you want books that will feel like a cutesy, small town, kind of over the top, very much don't take themselves seriously at all, don't have any sort of self-reflection, these are the books for you. Like, they achieve the goal of being a cute, seasonal thing. If you want something with any depth at all, maybe don't pick these up. This is no hate to the author. I love romance at the end of the day, and I will always continue to read romance, but I think that these books sort of pinpoint a lot of the faults that I see in romances. And at the end of the day, I'm still ranking them higher than 1 star. I've read really bad books. I just like a book that has some depth, has some character, and I wish we could do a seasonal romance with some character, with some depth. I think these books, they fall flat in so many ways, and they don't exceed expectations at all. And for some reason, they're the most popular books ever. Whoever was marketing these books, they ate so hard, I hope they got a raise. A tropey TikTok romance that doesn't need to exist, but now that it's out there in the world, I'm reading it. That's what I feel like it is. Tell me what you think about this series. Please, let me know. What are your thoughts on the Dream Harper series? Anyways, have a great day. I hope you had a key with me talking shit. I'll talk to you later, hopefully with some better recommendations. I'll come back again with another series to rip into pieces. Bye!